Danielle, we are going to head on to our first guest for today's show, which is Mr. Jonathan Watsley. So Jonathan is a founding director of Wealth at Work, helping employees improve financial well-being and retirement outcomes. He advises across sectors in the UK and Ireland and is a regular media commentator and speaker. Jonathan Watsley, good morning. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you, and welcome to the Breakfast Show at the Voice of Islam Radio.
Good morning.
Well, without any further ado, how can employees improve their financial well-being?
Yeah, I think there's a few basic things that people need to think about, especially given that things financially have been pretty tough in recent times, not least due to the pandemic and the cost of living crisis, and a lot of the financial pressure that people are feeling. It doesn't feel as though that's going to be relieved anytime soon. So a lot of the if you like very basic work that we do is looking at how people budget. So looking at their income and then looking at our outgoings, and actually are there places where they can effectively save money. And there's often areas where people sort of forget where they're spending money. I think now we're in this digital age, people don't get paper bank statements anymore. So often they don't actually look at, well, where has my money gone in the last month, for example. And we often see many people that will have direct debits that they may have set up over a period of time and simply forgotten about them. And often they're for services that either they don't use anymore or they're duplicate services. So streaming is quite a common one, where we highlight to people, look, you do realise you've got this money going out of your account every month, and it's for services either duplicated or you're not using. And another big area as well is often the items that most people buy, pretty big ticket items, but again, they don't shop around for. So primarily things like insurances, so car insurance or household insurance, or things like broadband or mobile phone contracts. And again, often people can save hundreds of pounds over a year if they shop around for those sorts of services. So that kind of getting into the habit of really reviewing what you've got, and actually, are you spending your money wisely? And I think one of the important things about it is that this is about how you're spending money wisely. So this isn't trying to stop people doing things that they want to do. It's just saying, are the things where you spend money where actually you don't really need to.
Yeah. No, and the things that you just described is something that I was going over myself last month. So looking at where I'm spending a bit too much on a couple of SIM contracts compared to where I'm spending a bit too much on Netflix or other direct debits that I set up, and I've been trying to manage them myself, but I forgot about it. You've reminded me as well this morning, so I'll go home and I'll fix it all up with my missus again today. And definitely shopping around for even for insurances, I've seen that works, and I've been able to manage it and get a few £100s off every year. That's something that a lot of people don't realize, is that if you shop around for it, you can actually save a lot of money from there.
Yeah, I think people get stuck into, particularly with auto enrollment, where the insurance company sends you the letter, you kind of forget about it. And what you haven't realised is that maybe whilst you may have had a good deal last year, the deal they've offered you this year actually isn't that competitive. But you because it's on direct debit, you just leave it, and therefore you're paying that extra. And
a lot of companies even price match as well. So if you find a good price, you can probably ask your insurance provider to kind of price match, and they sometimes do as well.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah.
So what should people know about saving for retirement now? Like different types of savings, like ISAs.
Yeah. So. For most people, then the pension saving would be the key element of where they save. Employers have to offer workplace pensions. We've had auto enrollment in place now since 2012. Very few people opt out of auto enrollment, so that means that ordinarily there's about 8% of their salary that's going into their pension. So more and more people are now having pensions, which is the good news. But yeah, people may have other forms of income for when they retire as well, because they may have saved into ISAs, they may have stocks and shares, they may have other things that they're going to use for retirement. Some people may even have second properties or buy-to-lets, which actually is going to form part of their retirement income. And of course, we shouldn't forget that people will also have the state pension. So all of that needs to be taken into account of. So people do really need to understand, what have they actually got? I mean, with things like the state pension, you can go onto the government website, put in your national insurance details, and it will tell you what you're on course for in terms of the state pension.
Yeah.
So yeah. So yeah, that reviewing of all your money, I think, is really important. And I think the other thing is two other key things is when do they want to retire, and what standard of living do they want in retirement? Because we do get into this thing where somebody might say, well, I need £25,000 in retirement, whereas another person may say, well, hold on a minute, I want to go off and travel the world or do whatever it is, and I'm going to need more than £25,000. Other people may say they need they need less. So I think one of the key things is looking not just about what savings you have, but actually what type, and therefore the cost of the retirement that you're expecting to have, because it will be different for different people.
Well, are there any common mistakes that people make when retiring?
Yeah, I mean, too many really. I mean, I think the first thing is that when they come up to retirement, it's thinking about how they're going to generate that income. So if you look at pensions, private pensions, for example, often people do things like they take all of their tax-free cash out. So with most pensions, you can take 25% of your pension as tax-free cash. Now that's fine if you're paying off your mortgage or you're paying off debts. So you're trying to clear everything before you go into retirement. But what a lot of people do is they take that money, and of course, whilst it's in the pension, it grows tax-free. But as soon as they take that money out, if they go and put it into a savings account, for example, then all of a sudden it becomes taxable. So they do sort of really inefficient things with it. Equally, on the tax side, if people are drawing money from various sources, so let's say some's coming from a pension, some's coming from an ISA, when you're withdrawing from an ISA, there is no income tax on the ISA when you draw it out, whereas potentially there is on the pension. So again, sometimes it's worth looking at those things and saying, actually, I'm going to take part from my pension up to my personal tax allowance, and then I'm going to take the rest from my ISA, and that basically means you get more money in your pocket, and effectively you're paying less tax. So the taxation thing is a big thing. Other mistakes are things like people don't shop around. So a bit like we were just saying earlier with insurances and broadband and all the rest of it. It's the same when you get to retirement. What are you going to do with your pot of money? And you could go and buy an annuity. You could go into what's called drawdown, where you effectively stay invested, but you're drawing money down every month. You could do a combination of both those things. What you do on day one of your retirement is not necessarily maybe what you want to do, 5 years in, 10 years in, 15 years in. So there's all these things to consider, and you really do, again, need to shop around to understand maybe what's best for you, given what you're looking for. And that's where things like, talking to your employer, talking to your pension provider, potentially getting regulated advice can be really helpful.
Perfect, brilliant. Thank you, Jonathan Watsley, for joining us this morning and for your advice as well this morning. We'd love to hear from you in the near future as well. Thank you very much. May the peace and blessings of Allah be upon you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.